Hey family, Miss Loretta here. How are you? I am going to continue on a little series that I've been talking about our forefathers and their children, forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So we've gone through all those stories. So this evening, I'd like to talk to you about Jacob and Esau. The story of Jacob and Esau is one I mentioned previously in the video about, I believe, the one about Jacob, Leah, and Rachel, or it could have been the one about no, it wasn't the one about Joseph. Anyway, so I'd like to talk about that today. First of all, let me say thank you for stopping by my channel. If this is your first time, thank you. If it's your 100th time, thank you, and I appreciate you. If you don't mind, if you'd hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell, and then you can tune in when you're free to listen to me talk about or break down the Bible in just narrate it a little bit to make it maybe hopefully a little easier to understand. So, as I said, I'm going to talk about Jacob and Esau. Now, this is in Genesis, still in Genesis, chapters 25 through 36. So start at chapter 25, read all the way through chapter 36, and you'll get a better explanation, more detailed explanation of what I'm saying. But here I just want to break it down a little because, as I said before, we have to hide the word in our hearts. If we don't even know what the Bible says, and the Bible is stories, it's a lot of stories, but they have meanings. They teach you, they're relevant. That's my favorite thing to say is the Bible is relevant today. So if you just listen to the stories and see what was happening back in those days, some of that stuff, as I said before, is happening now. Point case in question, is that how they say it? Point in question? I don't know. Anyway, so Jacob and Esau, the twins born to Isaac and Rebekah. And as we know, Isaac is the son of Abraham and Sarah. And they waited 25 years to have Isaac. But that's another story for another time in another video. Anyway, so Jacob and Esau. Okay, and it's kind of it's. Forgive me for laughing, but it's kind of funny because Jacob was a trickster. Jacob's name, Jacob means heel grabber or supplanter, like a trickster. He's been a trickster since he was in his mother's womb. Even so, in his mother's womb, Jacob and Esau were in there tussling or doing something. The Bible called it jostling, I guess, like moving around, causing a bunch of ruckus, so much so. Well, first of all, when Jacob, excuse me, Jacob, I'm still trying to, we ain't made it there yet. When Isaac and Rebekah got married, they were married for 20 years before she was able to conceive. She was considered barren. 20 years. They got married when Isaac was 40. And the twins weren't born until he was 60, 20 years. So much so, even that it says in Genesis, like I said, starting 25, and this we'll start at chapters 19 through 26. Isaac, the son of Abraham, was married to Rebekah, as I said, but she was barren, like I said. Isaac prayed. He wanted, and you can understand because, like I said previously, back in those days, to have children, especially sons, was a sign of blessing, of wealth, because And I said especially sons because, as you know, the son will carry the name on, and you know your name, you know that's something, okay? And a lot of y'all be acting like y'all don't know that your name means something, and y'all out here and all of this madness in the world, letting your name just be out there, just okay. We're not talking about that. Okay, so. Isaac, the son of Abraham, was married to Rebekah, but she was barren. Isaac prayed, and God granted them twin sons. Even in the womb, the two struggled against each other. And so much so that they were giving her so much trouble when she that as she carried them that she went to God. She had to go, um, First of all, Isaac had to pray to God for them to have some children because we've been married 20 years and we ain't got nothing. Doing what we're supposed to do, but ain't nothing happen. So he wouldn't pray. Then after she becomes pregnant with the twins, they acting crazy or acting nutty, whatever, in her womb. So she go to God. Now listen, this is what God tells her. Now don't go asking God a question or whatever unless you want to hear and understand and know abide by what he tell you, because he'll tell you something. He'll give you an answer to what you ask. He told her, two nations are in your womb, and two peoples. When they say people, like families of people, what do you call them, clans of people, bunch of folks. Peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. Okay. Now, at this time, this didn't make a whole lot of sense because we all know them back then, They know that the older does not serve the younger. Excuse me? That's not how it go. The older is the older, and the younger, everybody under, serves the older, or look up to, respects, you know, whatever, the older. That's how it go. But God told her that she was carrying two nations, two peoples, and it's like her two sons were like possibly coming from two different families. They were going to be so separate. And they were in looks, in their pursuits in life, in their abilities, in everything. They were so separate, yet they were twins born of the same woman. But it was prophesied. So a little later on, I'll tell you how, when God told Rebecca that, she somehow, kind of like her mother-in-law Sarah, when she was going, after she was told something, she gonna try to put it together and make it happen herself. Well, Rebecca was kind of the same way after hearing this prophecy, knowing that it's not something that really would happen. She gonna try to make it happen. So that's why her and Jacob conspired, mainly her, conspired to steal the birthright of the firstborn, which the firstborn is Esau, and he's supposed to rightfully be given the birthright. Even though they were twins, he came out first. And so they devised this plan because of this prophecy. She felt like she had to fulfill it. And it happened just as it was supposed to happen, because when God gives a prophecy, it will be fulfilled. Whether you feel like you need to help him, Rebecca, or help him, Sarah, whether you feel like, and I'm sure there's a few others, just can't think of them right now, but those two pop out since we're in that same family. But you think you're supposed to help him do what it is he prophesied that he was going to do. Okay, make that make sense. But okay. So that happened. So he told her that. So Esau was born first, as we said. Now Esau was covered in red hair. So I guess he was a ginger. Oh. and Jacob followed. So Esau's first and Jacob. Now get this. This is what I was telling you about in that other video when I said he was holding on to his foot. Well, I should have said heel. I meant heel. But foot, heel, it's all on the same space. But anyway, and Jacob followed, grasping Esau's heel, hence his name, which means heel grabber or supplanter or trickster or things of that nature. So this baby, they inside Rebecca, poor baby. She done waited all these years, married to the same man, and we ain't got no children. We been married 20 years, but anyway, so she married this, done been with this 20 years. And then she finally gets pregnant, and oh, it's just a thing. But they in there just, I don't know, one jumping off the pancreas, another one jumping off the gallbladder. I don't know. But in there causing all of this madness. And then she has them. And then after he and they're kicking up all that ruckus, then when Esau finally is able to slide out first, Jacob got hold to his heel. I guess he was going to pull him back. I don't know, but he was holding on to his heel. Y'all know that story. Let me go on. Okay, I don't want to be too long. Okay. So he was holding on to his heel. Okay, and then as I said, they were so different because, Esau was red and hairy and rugged, and, he was the one who would go out in the field and hunt, and come back with game and fowl, all of that stuff they ate back then, baby. He would go out there in that field, get, rugged. What we would probably call roughneck today. But anyway, he was out there handling it. Now, little brother Jacob, he was in the house. He liked to be at home. I ain't got no problem with that because I like to be at home too. But Jacob, he was in there and he would cook and he would probably clean the house and, see if daddy needed anything, see if mama needed anything. And, I need to take some food out maybe to the shepherds or, whatever. He was just a house body kind of guy. He wasn't real strong and rugged. So he would often cook, and cook some good food. And so we're going to talk about when Esau sold his birthright for some of this good food. Okay, so Esau, as I said, became a skilled hunter, while Jacob was more quiet and stayed at home. One day, Esau returned from the fields famished. I mean, he was out there hunting. He came back, he was starving. You know how it is, worked all day and maybe skipped lunch or didn't have money for lunch, had to wait till you got back home so you could, eat some free food at the house. But anyway, so he came in, honey, he was famished. And Jacob was cooking lentil stew. I guess that was good back then because I don't think I'm selling my birthright or no other right for some lentil stew. But hey, maybe it tasted real good back then. I don't know. It ain't that great now. But cooking lentil stew. So Esau begged for food, and Jacob seized the opportunity. Now remember, Jacob also means trickster also. So brother came in after and probably brought in, he out there killing, I probably shouldn't say. Okay, he's out there getting the stuff to bring in to put in the refrigerator, storehouse, whatever. And I'm sure he bought some stuff in for you to put in those pots. And now here you are. He come in after work and he hungry and he wants some food. He's starving. So you want to real quick, since he real starving, probably about to, because he did say he was going to faint. So since he about to pass out, you're going to take this opportunity. You're going to seize this opportunity to steal his birthright. Anyway, so Jacob seized the opportunity. He said, first, sell me your birthright. Really? Esau caring little for the future, because he a man out there in the fields, in the woods, trying to hunt. He ain't is not probably thinking about the future, like maybe how many did I get today and how many am I gonna get tomorrow. That's probably as far into the future he was really probably thinking. So to him, a birthright, he probably just wasn't thinking. So, thinking little for the future, he agreed, swearing an oath to Jacob. He swore this to him. Thus, Jacob gained the birthright, which entitled him to the greater inheritance and leadership of the family. Now, remember back when Rebecca was praying, was asking God about the babies in there, I don't know, playing soccer. He told her in his prophecy that the younger would rule the older. So if Esau is swearing on his swearing, making an oath to Jacob that if you give me this delicious lentil soup and let me eat so I won't faint and die. Oh, I keep trying to remember not to say that word. Okay, so I won't faint, then you can have this birthright. I don't care because I don't need it to go out here in these fields and do what I need to do. So he gave it to him. Jacob took it, made him swore on an oath, and just took the baby's birthright. Anyway, so now let's talk about these pranksters, these tricksters. That's the word. It wasn't a prank, honey, because it happened. It was for real. It wasn't a prank. It was a trick. Let's talk about these tricksters. So, Isaac was getting on up in years. He was already up there when he had the babies. He was 60 then, but back then age wasn't like it is now. So he was probably still a spring chicken at 60. I hope I'm going to be, because I'll be 60 in July if the Lord bless us say the same. But yeah, so he had him at 60 already. So he's getting on up in age. He's kind of blind. Some it said it was half blind, almost blind, and some say blind. So he's getting on up there. So he decides that, he might need to go ahead and do this while he still can. Go ahead and pass on the birthright to the firstborn, which back in that kitchen when they made that deal, even though Esau is the firstborn, Jacob has stolen his birthright. So it's going to be Jacob that he blesses instead of Esau. But Isaac ain't going for that. You're just going to tell him that. So he's not going to just say, okay, well, I don't care what y'all were doing in the kitchen, who was feeding who or what y'all swore on. I'm giving this birthright to my older son, which is what he would have said. So I'm sure, I don't know, I'm sure I would have said it. So they devised a plan. Now, the two boys, Jacob and Esau, Rebecca, the mother, favored Jacob. Remember, he's the one who likes to be at the house and cooking and taking care of stuff. And a mama's boy, mamas kind of enjoy, some of them enjoy if their son can, be helpful to them around the house. But Isaac favored the one who would get out the house and go, bring some food home. That's the one, the rugged one, the man. So, or the man like. He favored him. So they had their favorites. So since we said Rebecca is trying to fulfill this prophecy that God said, instead of letting God fulfill the prophecy, which he did all of it anyway. She was listening. Oh yeah, let me see. So Isaac, now old and blind, wanted to bless Esau. Remember, I told you he's thinking he's, ain't gonna be able to do this, so he might ought to go on and do it. So wanted to bless Esau before he died. He instructed Esau to hunt and prepare his favorite meal so he could give him his blessing. Rebecca, the mother, favoring Jacob, remember that was her favorite, helped him deceive Isaac. So they knew in order for them to do this birthright thing, they couldn't just tell him. Like I said, they had to trick him. So the trickster and his mother decided to trick dad. That's so sad. So she dressed Jacob in Esau's clothes and covered his hands and neck with goat skin to mimic Esau's hairy body. Because Jacob, he in the house, he's smooth, baby. He don't have no hair on. Forgive my English. He don't have no hair on him, honey. He just Mr. And I know they didn't have razors back then. I don't know what he was doing, but I guess he was just smooth. So they had to fix it up. They had to go on and concoct this plan to deceive poor Isaac so he could not bless his favorite son. And which you're not supposed to have favorites, I know, but hey, I wasn't there. I'm just telling you what happened. Okay, so they devised the plan. Rebecca, what we said, okay, goatskin, whatever. Okay, Isaac, though suspicious, blessed Jacob, thinking he was Esau. I mean, I'm sure with them gluing the goat skin on him and putting it so when he touched him he'd feel that he was hairy, because one was hairy, one was not. So if this one is hairy, I'm touching it must be Esau, right? Okay. And so he blessed him thinking he was Esau. This blessing granted Jacob authority over his brother and promised him great prosperity. See? So in doing this, Jacob stole, did he steal it? Because he and Esau did an oath. Esau swore an oath to Jacob that he could have his birthright. So rightfully, he gave, I don't know if it was his to give, it probably wasn't, but he gave it to him. So Jacob didn't really do anything wrong. Maybe it's a toss-up. No, it's not a toss-up. It was wrong. So Rebecca helping her son to deceive her husband, his father, like that, and let Isaac give the blessing to the wrong son. Though it did fulfill the prophecy was the younger would rule the older, now with him being blessed, because once he gave him that blessing, there wasn't another. He couldn't come behind him. First of all, he couldn't take it back to say, once it was figured out that wasn't Esau, that was Jacob. He can't take it back. Once you give the blessing, you can't take it back. And then there's not another blessing that you can give, because when Esau found out what happened, because just as Joseph, I'm on another generation, just as Jacob was leaving Esau, slow down, Loretta. Just as Jacob was leaving Isaac, his father's room, with the blessing, is when Esau came in. Esau wasn't aware of what had happened, because his dad had told him to go out and bring back, prepare, stuff for his favorite meal and prepare it for him so he could eat the meal and give him the blessing. That's all Esau knew. He didn't know once he left, all the trickery would start happening. And by the time he got back, his birthright would already be gone. He didn't know that. So he came in, prepared the food, got it all good, smelling good, Because even though he was a hunter, I guess he could still throw something on the stove, because his dad told him to prepare his favorite meal. Anyway, he prepared it, and then he took it in to his father. His father asked him, who are you? That's not funny. But he asked him, who are you? Because Esau already came, and as far as he's concerned, and got his blessing. He gone on, I'm full. So who are you? And he told him, I'm Esau. And he said, no, I've already blessed Esau. Oh, my goodness. And so when Esau found out, he just was crying. He wept bitterly. And it says, when Esau returned and discovered the deception, he wept bitterly, and begging for a blessing, He asked his dad, well, do you have a blessing for me? Can you give me a blessing also? Whew. Isaac told him this is the only blessing he could give him. He had already given Jacob the good, the great, blessing. You'll have all of this, you'll have land, you'll have, all of it. He already gave him that blessing. And it's not something that Isaac wanted, like, oh, this is just what I want to give. No, there's an actual blessing that is bestowed upon the one that's blessed, the firstborn, whatever, that's blessed. It's not something dad and them want to do. It's an actual blessing that happens. And so the only blessing Isaac could give him was, he told him, you will serve your brother. But when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from your neck. Esau was furious and vowed to kill Jacob. Rebekah, fearing for Jacob's life, sent him away to her brother Laban in Haran. Remember? Or I don't know, but I did a video on Jacob having to leave home, I told of him having to leave home to go to stay with his uncle, his mother, Rebekah's brother, Laban, in the land of Haran, Haran, and go and stay there with him for a while until your brother cools off. Because right now, he's a little upset with you because you stole his birthright. Daddy gave the birthright. Daddy just told him now that he gonna have to serve you. He is real mad about that. So until he calms down, I want you to go stay with my brother and come back. Hopefully he'll calm down. So that is another story. The rest of it is another. Well, actually, along the way, I'll just tell you real quick. Along the way on his journey, he had a dream. And, he laid, it's too long of a story. That'll be for another time in another video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope I wasn't too all over the place for you. Sometimes I get a little animated when I'm talking, especially if I get excited. But thank you so much, as I said, for stopping by and allowing me to grace you with my information. Thank you again. Please hit like, subscribe, share, and I will be back. I'm ready to talk about the story of Esther. Queen Esther, are you familiar? I think she's going to be my next. And then, of course, the story of Ruth, some of my favorites in the Bible. I love the story of Ruth because I'm still looking for my Boaz. No, my Boaz is looking for me because when a man findeth a wife. So I'm still waiting on Boaz. So I'll tell you about Ruth and Boaz, and I'll tell you about Esther, Vashti, and the king. Okay? Y'all have a good one. Bye.